What we are hearing here is unmistakably Rag Zila Kafi, recorded on a shellac disc in 1912 by Asadullah Khan. The distinctive voice of Asadullah's instrument, which reaches our ears out of the grooves of this shellac record, is nothing less than a revolution in the world of Hindustan music and a message from the centre of musical modernism in India. It reminds us of something that is unthinkable today, namely the fact that there was once a life without acoustic and visual memory. Overnight, the advent of the phonograph in India multiplied the voices of Indian musicians. It made the broader outcomes of modernity audible through the disembodied sound of the mass-produced, commercially released gramophone recording, and had a profound impact on the lives of musicians. Asadullah Khan was the son of Niamatullah Khan. The latter served as court musician to Wajid Ali Shah, the last princely ruler of Lucknow. Asadullah was born in 1858, at the time that his father was about to adapt the rubab, his traditional instrument from Afghanistan, to the requirements of classical Indian music. Asadullah thus saw the light of day together with the sarod, the new instrument that was just about to enter the world of Hindustan music. It is now 40 years later, Paris, 1900, the World's Fair. This is the ceremony of colonial modernity. The essence of the progress of civilization and the economic fruits of the colonial market are spread across the French capital for over 50 million visitors from all over the world. Among the artists who represent British India are Asadullah Khan and his brother Keramatullah. Throughout the course of the World's Fair, the brothers' music can be heard in the Indian Pavilion. For Kaukab Khan, however, his trip to Europe began with a disaster. His fragile sarod was damaged in transit. But he knew what to do. In Paris, only one instrument that was available that came close to the tonal properties of the sarod, a Western banjo. Kaukab Khan reapplied the same innovative idea that had led to the invention of the sarod, removed the banjo's frets, and was now able to present his sarod repertoire to the Parisian audience. In Paris, the musical world had audibly shrunk by 1900. And when the gramophone company established its first branch in Calcutta the following year, the musical space in India was radically reconfigured once more. From now on, every public place with a gramophone became a potential concert hall. And anyone who could afford a record thus became an anonymous patron of the arts. Kaukab Khan's music is one of the first sounds to be documented in India using the new sound storage technology. In 1906, the Indian Gramophone Company produced the first shellac disc featuring Asadullah Khan. In 1912, he reappears on another recording playing the banjo that he had modified in Paris. At the turn of the 20th century, not only did the way in which music could be disseminated to a new audience change, but also the way in which practical music knowledge was passed on. learning music was no longer a matter of oral tradition confined to the master's close family.
This is a book written by Kaukab Khan sahab. It's called Johar-e-Musiqi. In those days, there were not many books written. There were some theoretical books, some historical dealing with history, but nothing about practical knowledge. So he wanted to write something. He did that. His brother Keramatullah Khan sahab also wrote a book.
When did he write that?
He died in 1915. So he must have started it in 14 or 13 or whatever. But before he could finish it, he expired.
Thanks to Edison's soundwriter, Kaukab's practical musical knowledge has been passed on in an alternative way and has remained legible to this day.
Come ci daran.
The German sitar player Matthias Wolter has devoted himself to Kaukab Khan's sound recording of 1912.
It happened quickly after I started learning with Ustad Irfan Khan sahab in 2017. I mean, I really didn't know before I came to Khan sahab the way the aesthetics of instrumental music was in the time of his forefathers. So I only knew, whatever everybody knows, what instrumental music was like after the 50s, after the 60s, with all the great maestros we all know. So that was what I was aware of without really knowing where this came from. And that perspective was really interesting to hear these really, really old masters, which were very different in a way. So besides learning with Khan sahab, the Gat and the Torahs, I listened to that recording and I loved it a lot. And I mean, what is fascinating about it is that you have so much of raga material and the DNA, like in a very short performance. And there's a clear picture of the rag and the grammar of the rag, which you can grasp in a short time if you stick to the traditional Gats and Torahs. And if you really absorb them, I mean, you have to grind them. You have to grind it to get it into your fingers, to get it into your head. So I try to get as close as possible to the original. But studying them in every aspect is a great thing. Technically, you can learn a lot, especially on the right hand, because that was so much stronger in those days, I would say, in instrumental music. And material-wise, also there's a huge repertoire and of traditional things to learn. So that view into the past. And then at some point, knitting it up again with the present, that is, of course, a thing that has to be done.
Today, over 100 years after the Indian Gramophone Company first installed its recording equipment in front of Kaukab Khan, his sound document has found its way into the digital world and connects past and present. Khan.